Something that people said, you're crazy, Vietnam will never work, it's a communist country. Well, luckily it did work and it's become a huge success. This property for quite a few years ran over 90% occupancy and had a GOP of over 60%. So it was a big, big success, and because of it a lot of people followed into Vietnam. Six Senses Ching Ching Mountain, conceived like a Chinese village. That mountain up there is called Ching Cheng, and it has temples that are the birthplace of Taoism. So there we have a lot of Chinese medicine, the Taoist philosophy. We are not far from the panda bears. We are not far from some UNESCO World Heritage sites. So it's a total escape about an hour from Chengdu Airport. Six Senses Lamo in Maldives. That's where you don't need shoes, and where you have most of the villas over water. Sama on the beach. Then there's Six Senses L'Île Passion, opened about a year ago in Seychelles. Private island, 2/3 are nature reserve, 1/3 is resort. We take the guests on trails through the nature reserve. The villas are very far apart, you don't see the neighbors, so it's very special. Can you all hear me? It's okay? Yeah. Six Senses Sigi Bay, the one you can paraglide into, and there you have one of the goats. High up on the top you have a restaurant called On the Edge. It's amazing views. Then there's Six Senses Douro Valley, our first hotel in Europe. Opened 2.5 years ago. Again, this is the RevPAR leader in all of Portugal. It was a place that used to shut. It was a hotel before that used to shut in winter. And we also planned to shut in winter for 3 months. But then we got so many bookings coming in that we decided to actually bring some hosts back from other properties, and we stayed open. So this is the 3rd winter that we are actually open. And it works because we have wonderful fireplaces, we do wine tastings, we concentrate on local food, we bring people to the local winemakers. So all these experiences are actually beautiful in winter, and you can overcome seasonality if you are creative. We have residential projects. There is one in Courchevel. This has just a Six Senses spa and Six Senses service to residences. It's a good income though, because when we sell residences, we have a branding fee, a royalty fee for the brand. Because there are studies that show an unbranded residence will be about 30% less price than a branded one. So we get a few percent of that extra in terms of branding fees. Under development, and this is now in the order as they will come. Uluwatu will open in March. I don't like this picture much, it's too hard, it won't be like this, it will be much more natural and soft. In Bali, then we have Fiji, a beautiful private bay that will have next bay a marina, a lot of residential villas, and some of them even will have parking for their own yachts. That is our first totally solar resort, all solar power, which today is possible with fantastic Tesla batteries that will store the power for the night. We took over a property in Turkey near Bodrum called Kaplankaya. That's how it looked like until last month. It was built as another hotel, a typical city hotel by the beach. And we are currently renovating it, and in May it will open as a Six Senses. Much softer, really looking at the local experience. Bhutan, very exciting. We've been working on this for 14 years. That's with the royal family of Bhutan. Their dream was to realize their own hotels, and we have now 5 sites. The country is the size of Switzerland. Exactly the shape and size of Switzerland. Switzerland has 8 million people, they have 700,000. So it is extremely natural. It's the first country in the world that is no smoking. Foreigners can bring cigarettes, but it's not sold locally. They are carbon negative, they only create hydropower, most they export to India. So all their power is actually powered with water. We are testing Tesla cars there that we hope to be able to plug in power made from hydro. And the 5 locations are, it's a country you must have heard, the king proclaimed many years back that they will not measure anymore gross national product. He said money is not going to help our people. they are measuring, and seriously, gross national happiness. And if you go to Bhutan, everybody will proudly tell you that this country is different. And it truly comes through. They are working on their values, their culture, people are still dressed in their typical clothes, you can only build sensitive to local style. So it's a magic country, it's a total getaway from everything. Only about an hour's flight from Delhi, from Nepal, 3 hours, 3.5 from Bangkok. So there will be 5 lodges in 5 locations, in 5 different valleys, and everyone will be a totally different experience. Different spa treatments, different vegetable gardens and the like. So this one up here shows you the lobby hanging out over the pool, and there we have paddy fields for our own rice. Another one will have fruit orchards, and so on. And you can, a typical journey should take you about 12 days with Six Senses, taking you through the country and having your own guide, your own driver to take you to see culture, nature, mountains, trekking, whilst you go through the 5 Six Senses. Six Senses Krabi Island, that will open in mid next year. Bhutan also mid next year. That's a private little island in the south of Cambodia. Then again, this drawing I'm not so happy with yet, it's a bit too hard. We took over a project that was under development in Israel. It's up on a high cliff, and this is actually not the sea, this is a pool, and you look across at Jordan. In these mountains here you have, in Jordan, Petra. We'll take the guests to Petra, to the Red Sea, and explore the desert. Then India, the family, the royal family that used to live in this fort wants to turn it into a hotel, and it will open in about 1.5 years. So there is what they used to have a palace for the ladies, a palace for the men, and a temple. And the ladies' palace will be turned into a spa, and the other one will be turned into lobby and library. So you really will experience the fort life. And Ibiza. I was just there a few days ago. We are constructing on the northern edge, so you can party down in the south, but then come up here and detox again and relax with Six Senses. Here we want to bring in a lot of artists. We even have studios that we will bring young artists and sponsor them to create music, film, sculptures, paintings, whatever, and then try to launch artists. So that will be a big extra here. We are building, that's about 2 years away, in China, in Yangshuo, near Guilin. These wonderful mountains. We are on both sides of the river. And here the architect is Kengo Kuma, a very famous Japanese star architect who is doing the Olympic Stadium of Tokyo. And that's another project we have in Taiwan, also Kengo Kuma. You can see very modern shapes, but extremely organic, natural materials. All this here is driftwood, big logs. On the beach we found lots and lots and lots of old driftwood lying there. So we talked to the government and say, could we collect all that, clean your beach, and use it. So this will all be made from driftwood, that's the spa. Very sustainable, organic, will look fun, will look great. It's very cheap to do too. I show you 3 video clips just to show you how Six Senses lives in Europe, that is in Douro Valley, and how the philosophy lives in the Middle East, Six Senses Sigi Bay, and then how Six Senses is in Yao Noi, in the jungle in Southeast Asia. I hope you'll feel that the same philosophy comes through in very different environments. These are just each 2 minutes. You'll see we show very little rooms. It's all about experiences and what you have a boat where we take people up the Douro River. You do wine tastings, we do mountain tree climbing for the guests. There's an outdoor pool, indoor pool, take them into the vineyards with bicycles. We have even a treasure hunt. We did that for children, but now the adults do it too. All the food is local, that is our breakfast here, all from the garden. That's this old house. It was a family residence, and then it was turned into a hotel. That didn't work, and then we took it over. Obviously wine, port wine, but there's also fantastic red wine, white wine. We work with the the 5 families, 5 guys that 12 years ago called themselves the Douro Boys, and they really wanted to put port wine again and the wine from the Douro on the world map, and they're fantastic. And we have an alchemy bar here, where you can mix your own masks or scrubs and things and take them back home. Those are the wine tastings, some of the Douro Boys. That's the Wine Academy. Everything is made from old bottles and old wine boxes and crates. And cinema. It's always a signature. All Six Senses have outdoor cinemas as much as possible. Okay. Then we are going to travel 6 hours sort of east to the Middle East, to Dubai, and then drive to Sigi Bay. That is that bay in Oman that I described to you. Amazing hiking, goats. That old man, I know him since we started there 15 years ago to develop. He's only left this bay 3 times in his life. And he said, it's so horrible, he's not going to go out again, so he wants to stay there. He's a wonderful man, has supported us a lot to know about the local culture, and is amazed that for such simple houses we can get that kind of rates. Ultralight, microlight, a lot of this is the local fortress nearby. There's the paraglide. You see the instructor taking a guest. That's our largest villa, $15,000 rate. Then in front of the resort you have wonderful boating into beautiful bays, fantastic snorkeling, diving. Every guest has a bicycle. It's local henna treatment by a local lady. That's how our message arrives. The local souk. And then in the back you have these wonderful valleys that are stunning. You'll see in a minute there's a picnic we set up for a guest high up on a cliff. Look at that. And you're looking down. So these are fantastic experiences. Cost very little to set it up, but the effect is fabulous. That's what guests want. And there's the cinema again on the beach. And we go 6 hours further east, and we're going to go to Six Senses Yao Noi. Takes you about 20 minutes by car, 40 minutes by boat to get there from Phuket Airport. Stunning views. That's how you get there from Phuket. There's this high, although you see all these houses, when you're inside you don't see the neighbors. You really just see your view. So that's a typical Phu villa, as you see there. Local tuk-tuk excursions with biodiesel that we work with the locals on tuk-tuks. Explore the little fishing village. Chicken. Here, you go with a little basket and you collect your eggs and bring them to the chef. And stunning islands where you just leave you alone for a picnic. Traditional boxing, aerial yoga, the spa, natural ingredients, and always vegetable gardens. The scarecrow dressed like a chef. Ice cream, 50 flavors of ice cream, local ingredients, chili ice cream, exotic fruit ice cream and so on. And that's one of the restaurants out in the jungle. And the villa. And the cinema, of course. So just another 5 minutes I have, right? Yeah. So that, I hope, showed you the philosophy going. Can you see a bit of similarity coming through? It's all experiential. And now I want to show you this and shock you, because I talked so much about nature and back to nature, but we are actually going with Six Senses into the city. And we were offered to come in to manage a hotel in these 2 towers. we thought about it for a long time, and then we said, well, if inside we can control everything, the look, the feel, the concept, then we can live with this environment. It's New York after all, you are in a city. I said before, you can only come once or twice a year to a Six Senses resort. But how about getting all that I showed you at home in the city, in Vienna, in London, in New York, or when you travel and you stay in a city hotel, you actually get all of that as well. So a few pictures to show how we want to do that. It's under construction, it will open in 2 years from now. First of all, it's about the look, the feel, the attitude. We need lots of kids like her. An urban oasis, creating really a getaway from the city. Lots of interior plants, greenery. When you arrive, obviously gems that will be there for you and look after you. Bring in art, lots of greenery, lots of gardens, continuously changing art and artists, local artists from New York, exploring things in New York that a normal tourist will not see. Very natural materials, recycled materials, no dress code, come in jeans. Google and Apple can do business in jeans and t-shirts. Why shouldn't you be able to come to a city hotel and have a very relaxing time? Spaces where you can meet, you can do business in a super relaxed environment, not in a formal one. There's some hotels that are coming up that do that, but I think really driving all our DNA and our philosophy into a city hotel will make it very different. Mixed spaces where you see food, you have exhibitions, you have things happening. And then a spa that is earthing, grounding, where there will be no Wi-Fi, no devices, and trying to give you as much of nature as possible in the city. Here's some imagery, but we're still working on it. We're working continuously driving this concept. It will take another year to have it really perfected. So there's a lot that we are still doing. We have also a student group working on that at the moment, helping us with more ideas. How can we get Six Senses fully into there? It will be a kids club, but in a different way. Great kids experiences, learning to make their own spa products, having little spa experiences as a group, really fun things, art and so on. So for every age there's something to do and different. In the members club, that will feel like a real oasis away from the city. We are also working on having a platform where we can have outdoor cinema, at least when the weather's okay. And as we can't have too much of a vegetable garden, we'll have some hydroponics growing in the walls. But we are working with farmers to give us planters that come in every day fresh, and that carrot that you could get in Ziggy Bay or in Six Senses Yarnoi from the earth, you'll still get it from the earth, it's still growing, goes to the kitchen, gets prepared, and it ends up on your plate. So a lot of that philosophy we still want to happen in here. A real farm to table, as close as possible in a city. We are also working on green technology, so how can we guarantee the most healthy air conditioning possible? A lot of buildings, we don't know what we breathe. During construction, it's not well protected, it's full of dust, it's full of chemicals, and you keep breathing it for years and years and years. So if we plan to actually show the guests and measure and prove that the air in those buildings will be the healthiest possible in New York. Imagine if we can do that in Tokyo, or in even more so in Beijing or Shanghai with huge pollution. And we can offer guests either a hotel room or an environment or an apartment where they breathe healthier air. The materials are all the best possible for health. The lighting is good for you. And you can eat, drink, and do everything for your health possible and actually have a better, healthier life. So it's not just about location and luxury and service, but it's creating an environment, a bubble in which you can have a better life. And here one more picture just to show how that all may come together. And that was, am I within time? Just about. So I hope I could convey to you some of Six Senses. we carry on, we continuously push on to push the boundaries and go further. We have a lot of, we work a lot. We would love to work also with some of you, students who help us on projects to bring in creativity. We on our day-to-day jobs, it's not always easy to think out of the box. We try as much as we can, but still we need help to always push the boundaries on sustainability, on design, on wellness, on everything we do. And I hope that we'll be able to work with some of you on that. And with that, I'd love to take some questions. Who would like to start? I've seen some of the questions. Do you need the microphone? It's okay. You can do it this way then. Change. Ah, you're too far away.
No, it's okay.
You work down there.
Yeah.
Come.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the presentation. I was very fascinated by everything. And my louder?
That's good.
Okay, and my question is actually if you could sum up the Sixth Sense resort to 3 words, the philosophy, which words would you give?
I would give you the 6 values I've given before, because that's really all of it. But in an easy way, I think it's sustainability, it is wellness, and it's fun for experiential. See what it is.
How much does it cost to start a project such as the one in Europe?
That's a few $100 million. But
How did you start it off? Because I don't think you get the money like that.
no. So we are a management company. We look for investors. But luckily we have a reputation today that many people look for us.
And when you started, how did it look?
Well, when we started, there was this dream that you saw. A lot of it was there. But when we spoke about it, most guests, most owners, most potential investors, most bankers were just saying, you're crazy. Nobody does it, so it won't work. So we will not give you money, we will not support you. Took a long time, and the first few years we actually managed food courts and cheap 3-star hotels and all stuff we didn't want to do, just to make money and be able to sustain the company to make the dream work. Then we found 1 or 2 who believed in us and were passionate, and we built it up, and then we proved that actually you can make more money, costs you less, so it eventually happened. A typical resort like you've seen, 50 to 80 villas will be somewhere between 50 and 80 million dollars to produce. That is all inclusive, so design fees, all the work that everybody does, pre-opening, costs, everything. From start until the door opens is about that money.
And one more question, if I may, because I see that your concept is still considered and connected a lot with nature. How do you solve the maintenance issue if you're involved with all of these concepts? Because I know it can be a lot of struggle.
Yeah. Well, we initially started with extremely rough and Robinson Crusoe and back to nature's materials, and it's a nightmare to maintain. It's not easy. Doing something like those driftwood logs that you just accept that they rot a bit and they crack, and that's cool, that's okay. But the walls of a villa, it's hard. So we've learned to work with, to be smarter about the choice of materials and where they go. And it's always, we question ourselves every time. There's more and more materials that are actually recycled, sustainable, and that are very easy maintenance today, so it's getting easier and better. But totally admitted, the first few places we built were a nightmare to maintain, to housekeep, to manage. The guests loved it, but everybody who worked there wasn't having fun. So we learned over the years. There's the lady behind you, lifted the hand first, and then back to you.
Like in our life, we usually have those. Like in our life, we usually have those moments where we start new project, like how you started. And was there any like project which made you realize that whatever you're doing completely different is you can't do it anymore, and you want to give up? And then how did you overcome that?
Okay, you can hear me like that, yeah? Yes, there were days when we didn't find the money, didn't find the project, everybody questioned it. We even employed people who said, are you sure taking people's shoes off? They may not be comfortable with it, you can't do that. Then sometimes you say, well, what the hell, it won't work, you know, if you do this for years and years and years. But a few of us were so confident that it will work, that we kept doing it. Today I'm very happy, but yes, I must admit, there were years when we were not sure it would work. But, you know, you hear from every banker, every investor, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure? We don't support it, we don't believe it. You can't charge $1,000 for back to nature. Then actually today we charge more than that for going back to nature. And a normal city hotel by the beach doesn't get that rate. But yeah, it's not easy. That's why there to be different, but there you have to carry on. You know, you can't just, what doesn't work? You are next. Oh, okay. Who is next? See whether the microphone goes that far.
Can you tell me some of your competitors as your brand?
Sorry, again?
Of your competitors. Like, I know your brand have done a great job, but I know there are some certain brand that at the same level as you are. So can you tell me some more about them?
So I think the market perceives that Amann is in a similar space with us, that maybe some, Alila, very few, Banyan Tree or so are somewhere in a similar space, but that is, I would think, design, yes. I'm very confident today that nobody goes as far in sustainability, as far in wellness, and is quite as daring as we are with design as we do, I'm pretty sure. There is some individual properties that are very creative. There's some fantastic places that are, but I don't know of a group that does it. I believe. I don't know, if you think differently, tell me. I would love to hear your opinion. If you've seen anything that you think is a real competitor that does it well, I'd love to hear your opinion. Who is next?
I have one more question. When it comes to destinations such as China, more isolated destinations, how did you manage locals? How did you manage permissions to build actually a place there? Because I know it might be.
So the owners in every place are typically local. In Vietnam, we started our first resort I described was actually the government. It was the Communist Party of Vietnam. It helped with permissions, it helped with all that, but the first few years were struggles. We had fights with that lady who was, she's a good friend today, but at that time we had fights. She was always going on and shouting. And one day she told me, you realize that I'm making $150 a month, that's my salary, and you dare to bring a general manager who was, I don't know how many $1,000? You know, that kind of. And I kept saying, yeah, but you seem happy to make that business. Look how much the profit was, so you have to choose. She eventually quit from the party. She did her own resort, became wealthy. She's turned into a capitalist. She's a wonderful lady. She today has very good understanding of what we do, and this has helped us a lot. But so local, you need local partners. In Oman, it's an Omani, it's an Emirati and an Omani. In China, it was a Chinese family. Actually, the children went to hotel school in Europe, and they discovered Six Senses. They loved it, and it was bizarre because the father hardly traveled, didn't get us, but the children